Hello and welcome to the Real Success Podcast. I'm your host, Candice Mama. If you are returning, welcome back. It is so good to have you back. And if this is your first time, be sure that you are liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people can find us and grow and thrive with our community. So today's guest is none other but a giant walking ball of just love. James MacNeil is someone who you come into contact with and you can't help but have a huge smile on your face because he is the real love guru. He has worked with people like Les Brown. He's consulted for Fortune 500 companies, and he is a best-selling author. I'm so happy to jump into this and get my love reboosted. So without further ado, here is James MacNeil. James!
Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm lovely. How are you doing?
I'm doing lovely.
Good. You're looking lovely. So that's fantastic.
How is life? How's everything?
It's so good and so much better for having you here. I mean, I know how busy you are creating miracles left, right, and center. So the fact that you are spending some of your time with me and the Real Success Podcast, it is a true honor.
Well, I'm thrilled. I love being a part of all that Real Success Summits has done and is doing. You know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives have been able to find hope and encouragement and answers during what has otherwise been a very difficult time. So honored, thrilled. Thank you.
Oh, I love what you said, James, because you've been a part of making that happen. You and your love guruness and your just open heart, I think, has been magical. And, I think for me, it's a huge measure of a person when you hear what people say about them behind their backs. And I love hearing when people speak about you because you are just as much of a blessing when you're presenting as when you are behind the scenes. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Ooh. I thank you.
Flicks hair.
Can we hang out more often? This is great. This is great for my ego.
Oh, you have no ego, but that is fantastic to hear.
I love that to be true.
James, but I want us to really just jump in because we've got an hour together, but you are such a fascinating human being. And I say this from just knowing so many people, and I also read a lot of books, but your story is one of those that honestly, when you read it, when you think about it, when you really sit with it, you're like, this could make a Hollywood blockbuster. Like it is, it is a lot of twists and turns. And I think where I really want to start us is right at the beginning, because when people see you today, it's so easy to think, oh my goodness, that James, I wish I was born with that much enthusiasm, happiness, love and light. But the truth is when you were 9, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when you were 9, you just learned how to speak and you learned how to write and read when you were 21, right? Like, do you want to walk us through that experience and through that journey?
Sure, thank you. So first of all, I think what's important for me to share with all who may watch this is, I was just busy being it, right? I was in it, so I couldn't see what was going on. Only in hindsight now, but in my childhood, I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I have dyslexia. I have post-traumatic stress disorder and some other fun stuff. And when I was a child, I was just busy. I don't know what was going on in my head, but everything needed to be climbed. I needed to jump off of everything. I had to run faster than everyone. I had to just go. I mean, the earliest story I have of my madness was I was in diapers still, and my family was visiting some friends, and they lost track of me, and they heard screeching tires and horns on the highway near the house. And there I was walking on the highway in my diapers. I just made my way out of the house and wandered onto a highway in my diapers. So and no, I wasn't 20 years old in diapers. I was like 1-ish. So but that was just a sign of things to come. So I was just living in my own little world. And I didn't realize the effect I was having on the world around me, or frankly, what was going on in the world around me. But it is true, I couldn't speak in sentences until I was 9. I spoke, but just, not well. They had to teach me through nursery rhymes. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers to connect my brain with my mouth so that I became consciously aware of the sounds I'm making and the words I'm using. So people say I have a unique ability to communicate and articulate and organize thoughts. Well, maybe it's because I don't do it the same way everyone else does. Unique neural pathways had to be created for me to be able to communicate, only because there was something, whatever, the normal development system didn't happen. So that uniqueness is a blessing. Then yes, I couldn't concentrate and do well in school, it seemed. So I graduated without being able to read. At the age of 21, we found out I read at the grade 4 level. And and I just survived. I found a way to make it work. Those are just some of the academic things. What really is troubling for me in hindsight is my inability to connect and bridge the gap between souls and actually connect with the world around me and connect with people. And that was my greatest pain. I didn't care that I couldn't read, I guess. I didn't care about some of those things, but I did care that I felt alone all the time. I felt intrinsically flawed and unlovable. I thought everyone's always angry with me and I don't think I'm a bad boy. I don't understand why everyone hates me. And that was the troubling part of it. I just thought, why does everyone want to hurt me? Like in my childhood, I've been bullied, beaten, battered, broken, choked, strangled, hung, and I've been drowned. And I survived all of those things. And I thought, why does everyone want to kill me? Why is this world against me? Because I'm not against the world. I'm not picking this fight. I want to be good. I want everyone to like me. I want the world to be, I want to have what other people have. Other people seem to be okay and everyone loves them. And I couldn't figure out how they made that happen. And those were more, for me, the tragedies, not the academics, but the interpersonal. My dad's joke when I was a child was, our youngest boy, Jimmy, is so unpopular, we have to hang raw meat around his neck just to get the dog to play with him. Like everyone hates my kid. And I just couldn't figure out why. And so that's what was more troubling. Why did everyone want me to cease to exist? And the fact that I had trouble reading, I couldn't care less. But yeah, that's the start point. And now I've lived, some people say I'm the luckiest unlucky person they've ever met, because I've lived one of the most incredible lives, hanging out with the world's most powerful people, becoming the highest paid consultant of some of the world's most powerful banks, and becoming a world's leading expert on rapport. Becoming like, how did this happen? And so that's why I love to share my story, so that people can have hope and they say, well, if he came from there, I guess I can do it. But yeah, it didn't start out well.
I mean, as you were sharing it with me, I've heard snippets of it, but I mean, just hearing you, like I literally had to hold my own heart space, because I was like, oh, thinking of it as an individual going through it, but thinking of it, should I have kids in the future and my child going through it? It's just like heartbreaking on so many levels. But I also know that the one thing you mentioned that almost every human being that at least I've met, James, can relate to is the feeling of unworthiness, the feeling of being unlovable. I don't know if it's to the degree and extent that you have felt it and, lived it. However, the one thing I see consistently, whether I'm working with like, a global Fortune 500 CEO, or I'm working with someone who's, a school teacher, when we break down everything that's going on, especially when they're holding on to resentment or unforgiveness, it always comes down to worthiness. If I was better, this would not have happened to me. If I was more lovable, this would not have happened to me. My mother wouldn't have done this. My dad wouldn't have left. My dad wouldn't have died, whatever it is. And I want to know from you, James, coming from that place, how did you learn to cultivate a sense of love, like being loved and being worthy, or like allowing yourself to believe you are worthy?
I love these questions. Thank you. You're wonderful. So it didn't really happen until I was 45 that I found out I'm lovable. But around 20, I had a spiritual experience that turned me around. I would have been dead or in prison within 6 months, and more than likely dead. I'm not going to get into all the darkness of all the story, but yeah, it was by the grace of God that I survived. And then it was a matter of, okay, so now how can I help other people find this spiritual connection? And that fueled me, and that gave me, I felt like I was loved by divine, right? But I didn't experience love with skin on till I was 45. And so I still felt like I can get people to like me, I can get people to stay around me, but it's only what's in it for them. So as long as I'm making everyone happy, as long as I'm making everyone rich, as long as I'm helping everyone else get what they want, then they'll give me what I want, which is they stay near me. And I thought, all relationships are transactional. No one actually loves me, but they stick around as long as they're getting what they want. And so I ran on that until I was 45. And that's when I met my now late wife, Carol, and she cured me. I mean, when she loved me, I'm like, hey, once you're loved, you're lovable. And then I was able to revisit my entire life journey to realize I've been loved the whole time. It's not the world that didn't love me. It's not the people who didn't love me. I didn't experience that love. And so I'm no longer in a position of everyone was bad my whole life until I was 45. No, what I'm saying is my perception, my experience, yes, those tragedies did occur, but that wasn't 24/7, and that wasn't everybody. But I had this belief that caused a trajectory of life. And when Carol just loved me, and she's Latina, right? She's from Lima, Peru. And my goodness, that fire burns both ways. She was mad at me. She should throw things at me. And I was like, and she was like, I still love you. I'm just angry. I'm like, I don't understand that. I've never had anyone love me at all, let alone love me while angry. And so her love, even if she was angry, told me, wow, this is real. This is the real deal. And then I made friends that they love me just for who I am, not for anything they got out of me. And I thought, I love this version of life. I love this. And so it came with time. But once I opened my eyes to love with skin on, that maybe I am lovable, I was able to retrace the entire story to even realize I misinterpreted things in my childhood that I thought were hate, were actually love, just mismanaged circumstance. And by someone with skin on loving me all the way through till I got it, that's where the turning point happened. But up until then, I thought everything was just transactional. That's as good as it got.
Wow. And I love that you do credit your late wife, who I want to speak about in a few moments. But I love the humility of being able to accept that, you know what, it took me until 45, and it took someone else loving me in order to realize that I could look at my life differently.
Yes.
And I want to touch on that just a little bit, which is our perception, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm someone who also, I've had to go back into my childhood and look back at my life and re-narrate my experiences, because the one thing I used to believe is perception is fact. How I felt it, how I saw it, it is 100% fact, James, and I don't care who comes down. Even the Messiah could come down and be like, Candice, this is not what happened. And I'd be like, were you there? But
the answer would be yes.
Which is the worst part, because I'd still fight it. But for me, what I've realized is you can live a moment. And in the very same moment, even you and I having a conversation right now, there's multiple different realities going on. How you're experiencing it, how I'm experiencing it, how the listener and the viewer is experiencing it. And so I want to know, when you started going back in time and changing your perception, what were some of the biggest realizations you began to make?
Well, one of the things that has helped me is forgiveness, to be able to say, people mess up, me included. I know that's crazy to say, but I messed up. I was wrong twice in the last 2 years. It's crazy. And so once I realized, humans mess up. And so it didn't have to be evil, and it didn't have to be hatred. It's just mess up. And so I was able to look at my childhood. And one of the things about me is, well, I told you I ran out and onto a highway in diapers. Well, that never stopped. So when we'd go to fairs and circuses and parades and whatever, I would always run away, like not intentionally. I would just see something shiny and I would go missing every time my family was out of the house. And so every single time the play would play out, everyone would be, watch your little brother, Jimmy, keep an eye on him. Everyone hold on to him. Someone, who's watching him? Where is he? And it would only last a couple seconds before poof, I would find something and I was gone. Then hours would ensue while I was screaming and crying, lost and afraid. Where's my family? And it took them forever to find me. And then I would experience the wrath of my father. And so they're like, this kid, he's they actually told me stories when they went to the beach. I kept running into the ocean and I was going to drown. I kept like drowning. They'd have to keep saving me because I just, whatever. So they couldn't get any rest. So they literally tied me to the bumper of the car. They literally, they would go to jail now, but they tied me to the bumper so they could have a break. So I had this story that told me for sure my family hated me. And the story is that I remember as a small child being woken up by my family laughing at me for being so foolish. And I was like, what's going on? They said, well, you locked us out last night. And I didn't understand. I was a small child. And so the story is told, and everyone remembers it, that they came home from something fun, like a circus or a parade or a fair, and I had locked them out before I went to bed. Why was I alone, is the question. Why was that little child left alone in a house when the rest of the family went to the fair, went to something fun? And they came home with little stuffed animals and prizes, and they talked about how much fun they had. Why? How can you justify leaving the smallest child alone and going out as a family for family fun? I thought, well, this is evidence that I can hold against them forever because everyone remembers my dad had to break the lock to get into the house. Well, I was able to revisit that in a meditative process that I now teach people how to, it's called the quantum healing meditation. You're able to go back in and re-experience things. And now I realize that they didn't know how to keep me alive outside of that house. And so I would love it if they had better parenting skills or social strategies, but they didn't. And they said, all we know is he will die if we keep letting him out of this house. We got to keep him locked up because he's just whatever, he is what he is. And so in their imperfect strategy, they left me home. And I didn't know I wasn't supposed to put the chain on the door. I was a child. And so only now can I see that that was an act of love, just not the best strategy in my mind now. But now I see it as love. And so that's helped me to say, oh, now I can reinterpret things. And once one domino drops, you say, wait, maybe I made up a lot of stories that ain't so. And so by being able to revisit one perception that, as you said, it's like, no, this is the way it was, and find out, oh, wait, I'm wrong. It's like, okay, well, what else might I be wrong with? And so what I say is we make crap up. Our whole lives, we've been making crap up to tell ourselves stories about what is, what was, what should be, what shouldn't have been, and who's the bad guy. Well, now I say, whether I'm right or wrong, I'm making up better crap. I'm making up crap that gives me a life of love and grace and connection with my family and a beautiful future and the capacity to pass it on. So I'm able to revisit and drop it. And challenging those perceptions, once you start dropping those dominoes, you realize, wait, I'm free. I can make up anything any day anyway about anything. Like I could imagine right now that you're talking to me and this is a divine appointment so that divine love can flow to both of us and everyone watching so that no one can watch this interview and ever be the same again. I can imagine that. Or I can say, oh, I'm doing this interview and then I got to get back to the other things I have to do today. I can make up any story I want. I choose to interpret this as a divine appointment where the love energy of the universe, God, if you will, is flowing to and through us. And I like making up stories like that because it seems to work and I believe it to be true.
Oh, that is so powerful. And I love your connection with spirituality, and I want us to get to that. But before we do, I want to find out, you go through this process at the age of 20, as you mentioned, you start thinking, oh, hey, I can help people. I've had this union with the divine and this experience, and now I can help others through this experience. However, as you're helping people, does your love with self, does your connection with self grow better? Or was that simply a way of you trying to let people, like you, as you were saying?
Honestly, so two things I'd like to say for clarity. Number one, I didn't think I was helping them. I felt like I was just one beggar telling another beggar where I found free food. So I wasn't saying I've got it all figured out. Listen to me. The great James has arrived. Everyone be still. No, I was, hey, that works. I didn't think I was a messenger. I was just someone who found something cool and telling everybody, like, free food over there. So I didn't see myself as a leader, as a guide, as a teacher. I'm just someone who's like, hey, something good happened, I'm passing it on. So that's what I was doing at first. And frankly, annoying absolutely everyone. People said, if you talk to me about God one more time, I'm going to smack you in the mouth. And I thought, wow, I'm not getting a commission here. I'm just trying to pass on something good. And I thought, just because you have something good and just because you're doing it in a selfless motivation doesn't mean people will be happy with you. And I said, wow, I got to get better at this. So that's why I developed Pure Spiritual Intelligence, because it took me 35 years to figure out how to speak about spirituality in a universally cool way so that atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, Sikh, Christians, Baptists, atheists, everyone's digging, everyone's picking up what I'm putting down, and we're all having a great time. But learning how to do it in a way that wasn't somehow offensive, that was the trick. And so at first, I was simply saying I found something that's cool, and I was passing it on to the best of my ability, which frankly was very ineffective at first. And so I had to get better at it. And then another thing I found was the evidence of my life transformation was required for people to listen to me. So part of me saying it works, they say, well, look at you, you're a train wreck. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe I should get my stuff together. Now, I felt my stuff was coming together, but I realized my own wellness, not necessarily success. People think, oh, if I'm a billionaire, people will listen to me. No, there's billionaires nobody listens to, and there's paupers that everyone listens to. So we hide behind these stories about if then, right? No. But I did come to realize that a well life, a happy, healthy, well-balanced life was part of the equation of my life having an impact on others' lives. And I don't see it as a leadership thing. It's another thing I wanted to share. I don't see it as, I have students. Listen, we're all doing this thing. We're all just folks. I just happen to have picked up a few things along the way, and I will lovingly pass them on in friendship, in camaraderie. I see it as an adult to adult relationship. I don't believe anyone's better than anyone else. We're all equally and infinitely valuable. And if my life can serve another life, I'm all in. But I don't perceive it as a superiority thing. They're going to help me with their stuff. They're going to, like, someone's going to show me how to use my computer. I don't know how to do some things, lots of things. So I just see it as a peer thing, but getting really good at it, right? Really working hard at my craft to say, how can I engage? How can I hook? How can I help people find their hope, find their truth, find their purpose, and so I've worked really hard at becoming really helpful, so that other people can see that it was between them and the divine that all the miracles happened. And James was just a cute pal along the way. And I'm comfortable with that role.
I like it as more as James was the catalyst. You were like the little spark, the match flame, and then the fire was obviously the miracle. So yeah.
I like that.
You know what I love about what you said, James, is I was speaking to someone else the other day, and they were speaking about, putting people on a pedestal. And sometimes, us drinking the Kool-Aid, whether you're a speaker or you're a lecturer, or whenever you have people listening to you for information, there can be a tendency whereby people remove themselves from you, and either they put you on a pedestal or, you put yourself there. But I love what they said, because they said, if you have to put someone on a pedestal, then you have to decrease your own self-worth, right? And if you stand on a pedestal, you have to look down on others. And so either way, if you are not in balance and in alignment, and like you're saying, treating everyone as a peer-to-peer experience, then in actuality, what ends up happening is there is a sense of you over there and me over here. I'm better than you, therefore. And so I love just the humility in which you express that sentiment.
Well, thanks. I think one of the things I learned is those who deify also demonize. So the same people who might now say, oh, that James, he's a no good for nothing, are the same person who used to say James is the answer to everything. And I'm like, I'm neither. I'm a dude. I'm here to help. Let's just play nice. Like, if you'll allow me to be a part of your journey, I'm gonna. And if you allow me to help, I'll help. If you'll help me and I'll help you, we'll journey. Let's do this thing. But that whole superiority thing, I believe, it's an egoic entrapment, really. If you believe in the varying values of humanity, it's the ego interpretation of self-esteem. How do I value myself rather than how do I feel about myself? And how I value myself is in relation to what? And so if we buy into that, we'll forever feel trapped into a thing of seeking to impress those above, control those below, and we simply use or ignore the rest. And if you've had relationships where you felt someone is using or ignoring you, if you feel like someone's controlling you, if you feel like someone's worshiping you, you've experienced this. And it's just not healthy. I get real excited about working with people who don't need me. I'm not looking for dependence. I like working with people who are going to make it and they want to make it together and move farther and faster and do cooler things. I'm really excited about locking arms and being a part of something cool together.
Oh, and it also then allows people to relate to you in a different way, because I think when we, at least for me, right, if I look at someone as, oh my goodness, that person is so much better, it almost takes me out of the running, because what I'm telling my brain and what I'm telling myself is I don't have the capacity and capability to be that great. And therefore I don't even need to try, right? But as soon as you look at this person, you're like, oh my goodness, James is so fulfilled and he's so happy and this is how he treats people. And I want to be like James. Yeah. Then all of a sudden I can borrow from your traits and I can add them to my own toolbox instead of being like, James, as you said, either villainize you or completely worship you. So now all of a sudden it's within my capabilities and toolbox to be able to do the same, right? And I think that is the best part of good teachers. When a good teacher can accept that I'm just like you, I'm learning. And my good friend Justin Cohen always says, the teacher's drawn to the lesson they need the most. And I always found that to be so true.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. Yeah, I really get excited about working with folks where together we're coming up with new answers, right? Where their journey or my journey just provokes a new level of thinking required, where it's like, okay, all right, now let's see where the answers are. And that's where the real exciting growth comes from as we're journeying together and learning together and growing together. Yeah, it's very exciting. And I'm honored to be a part of a community that buys into that. One of the things that I've found is whenever I looked up to someone, and they were into that, I'm up here and you're down there. I found there was a problem whenever I started to really start growing, that they didn't want me to keep growing. They liked the deal that we had. They liked the deal that I'm the superior and you're cute little Jimmy. And I'm like, I'll always be cute little Jimmy, I think, but I got some stuff working right now. And people who buy into that differing values like to keep their position. And I'd rather work with someone who sees me as a peer from the beginning and says, let's see how far we can go with this thing. And I'm very proud, and I won't name them, but there's some big shot, famous $10 million a year speakers out there who, when they first heard me, they weren't doing anything in this field. They were just, doing normal people stuff, and they opened themselves up and they're doing great. I couldn't be happier, right? I don't need to steal any of their thunder and say, if it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be there, right? But not everyone's like that. And I like to work with people who want me to genuinely go as far as I can go and do everything that I can do. And that's the way I am with people I work with. I want them to go and I don't want people to need me. I want people to hang out with me and we do cool stuff and see how far we can both go.
And I think that's the beauty of your community. That's why people speak so highly of you behind your back, right? And not even just you. I don't think you position yourself, as you said, in this way, like A, look up to me, but I think you create a community of love, and then people are respectful to one another within the community, and they treat each other in loving kindness, which is so beautiful. And coming from that, so, you know, you did mention a little earlier that you learned love through, you know, your late wife. And unfortunately, she passed on. And I want to know, how did you deal with that? Like, I mean, from a place of just thinking in my own life, if I were to experience that, the depth of love that you've experienced, and that was, you know, I don't want to say taken away, but it like moved from my life and transitioned into a different form. I don't know how I'd be able to bounce back. And I think a lot of people listening have experienced that kind of pain, and some of them have not been able to bounce back. So how did you do it?
Well, I think first what I want to do is I want people to really understand what we're talking about. So you heard, if you've been tracking in this interview, that I had a challenging childhood. And when I saw her, I was like I couldn't talk to her. She was just like, oh, my heart. Like, I was just completely blah. Oh. Guys will understand this. So I was just blah. So it took me 3 times to actually talk to her. I was in her presence 3 times, 3 different gatherings of friends. And what I want you to know is everyone in my world knew about her after our first meeting. We didn't talk, but everyone knew about this woman who just completely captivated my consciousness. Like, I thought about her all day, every day. And she's from Peru. And I thought, I want to be able to dance with her because I heard she's a dancer. She likes to dance. So I spent thousands of dollars on salsa lessons the next week. Like, I just dropped money. I'm like, make me great fast. And I just wanted to be able to be someone she might be interested in. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to be the dream of the one I dreamt of. I wanted to somehow become great fast. And so I did that around the clock, everything I could. Finally, the 3rd time we met, I gave everyone a ride home from the party, and I made sure, you know, guys, you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, I'm generous. I offer everyone free rides, right? Oh, nice guy. And I just choreographed my ride to completely disregard all geographical logic, so that she'd be the last person I drop off. There's no hiding. Anyway, so finally, we're alone in the car, which has been my dream. My heart is pounding. I'm driving. I'm trying to concentrate. And so I'm starting to do the, you know, so tell me a bit more about you. And I'm trying to find out if she's with somebody or, you know, what's going on, you know. Please tell me she's straight, and please tell me she's single. And so we start talking about relationships. And one of the first things out of her mouth is, oh, I don't believe in love. I don't believe in marriage. I don't believe anything. It's all crap. Well, 24/7, all I've thought of, all I've planned for, all I've dreamt of is this moment. And she tells me she's not open to love and romance and happily ever after. I'm like, come on, God, you got to be kidding me. So I just kind of go quiet. And so there's like this awkward silence in the car. And so she's looking out the window after announcing this. And then she says, well, maybe someday I'll believe. I went, today's your day. You just don't know it. And I didn't say that, but inside I'm like, I'm back. I'm in. So that night, when I got to her place, we just sit in the car and we're talking. And it's a longer story, but I finally had the guts. It was awkward. It's a hilarious story if I took all the time. But finally, I said, okay, I'm about to make a fool out of myself. She says, why? I said, would you be willing to go on a date with me? I said, date. You know, a lot of guys, hey, want to hang out, want to grab a cup of, no. Get it over with. Kill me now, or tell me I have a chance. I can't take this anymore. You're all I've been thinking about. So I said, would you be willing to go on a date with me? She said, sure, why not? I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't expect it to work. So then I said, okay, how about Friday? She said, okay, Friday. I said, I'll pick you up at your office and we'll do it. And she said, okay. I said, okay, I got to leave. And later, after we're in love, she says, what the heck happened? I said, look, I made the sale. All I could do is blow the sale. Now I got out of there. My heart was racing. My brain shut off. I didn't know what I was doing. And our first date, we fell madly in love and we were inseparable. And I found so much healing. I found everything I had dreamt of. There was 3 dreams of my life when I was turning around, when I woke up, when I was 20. One was to become the dad I wish I had. And that happened. My son and I are best friends. He works with me. He's actually sitting in front of me, waiting for this interview to be over so he can bawl me out about something, I'm sure. And we're best buddies and we love each other. And that's a big deal to me. Second, to earn the respect of those I respect. And I wanted to be really good at something. It didn't matter what. I wanted to be really, really good at something and earn the respect of those I respect. Never did I dream that when I was listening to audio cassettes of Les Brown, never did I dream when I was just burning out these audio cassettes that not only one day would I become a speaker, and not only one day would I meet someone like Les Brown, but I would tour the world with him and he would call me his guru son and we would share the biggest stages in the world. And like, I never dreamt I could get here, but I've earned the respect of those I respect. The first time he heard me speak, he gave me a big double bow and said, the student has become the master. And I'm like, how on earth did I get here? And so I had achieved, be the dad I wish I had. I achieved, earn the respect of those you respect, become uniquely good at something. Those 2 things had happened. But what I never experienced was love with skin on. And with Carol, when I found love with skin on, I thought, I'm done. Everything I wanted, I've got. My entire life is complete. I don't need anything else. And we decided we were just going to sell off everything. I was going to go out of business. I was just going to volunteer at charities. We were going to get a place in Panama. We found the place and we were talking to the charity about how we would donate our time for the rest of our lives. Everything was over. My whole career, everything was done. Everything was about this love story. And I came home, I went out for a couple of hours and she's dead. She's on the floor. She's 30 years old, perfect health. And everything is over, right? And I thought, there's no tomorrow. I'm going with her. There's nothing left in me for this planet. I got nothing left. And that was a phrase, that's all I could say to people is I've got nothing for nobody. Don't talk to me. I've got nothing for nobody. That was the phrase I couldn't stop saying. I got nothing for nobody. And I didn't think there was any chance that I could come back. I'm convinced that Carol's first words in heaven were, send me back, he won't make it. For sure. And I would have agreed with her. And only by the grace of God and good friends and family and counseling and patience and grieving, respecting the grieving process. Only by doing all of those things over an extended period of time did I find myself back on earth and back on fire and reconnected to my purpose and reconnected to making this world as great a place as possible. And all now with no need, like, I don't need any of this. This is all bonus round. Like, I've already achieved and accomplished and acquired everything I've ever desired. Everything I ever wanted, I've already had. So I'm only here to serve. And so, yeah, it took a long, long time and a lot of patience with the grieving process, but I'm the healthiest James MacNeil I've ever been.
Ooh-wee, James. I mean, everywhere in that story, I was just like breathing. I was just like, okay, you cannot cry now. You cannot like be a professional, damn it. But I'm sure for myself and all the listeners, it is, you know, I think whenever we go through unimaginable loss, or, you know, those of us who have had to deal with grief in that way, the one thing you said, which I think is so profound and I think is so important for anyone who may be experiencing it at this time, is give yourself the time you need. Give yourself the patience, give yourself the compassion, because I think, you know, sometimes we expect ourselves to be on the other side, right? Then you teach, you know, that miracles are possible, and they are. I think sometimes though, what we hear when someone like a James MacNeil or Les Brown or, Deepak Chopra says it, what we're hearing is miracles are possible, like absolutely right now. So if I need to stop grieving right now, it has to stop. But I think there is so much, that is gained from being patient with ourselves and understanding that even in this moment of grief, a miracle is taking place. It may not be the miracle you want, but it is definitely a miracle nonetheless. And so firstly, I want to thank you for sharing that story with us, because I think it's just so touching. And I'm just like, ooh, don't cry. But I think what we want to know is, James, have you found love again? Is that something that's been on the cards for you?
No, tell all your friends James is available. Get the word out. I need free marketing.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Yeah. Get the word out. Let's get posters made up. Totally available. And so let's go back to the miracle thing. Not only are they possible, they're perpetual. They're not just predictable, they're perpetual. Miracles are always, and it's never ending. And I don't have to figure out why I'm grieving or why, so I could focus on, for an example, the fact that I don't currently have Carol here in skin, right? I don't currently have her in that form. I could focus on that. And I could be a victim of that. I know how to be a victim. I'm a master of being a victim. I had mastered that. I just retired from being a victim. And so I realized that being a victim is an experience, not an identity. And so I've decided to retire from that idea. And so if I'm not a victim, then why? And I can't find an answer to why is she not here, although I assume it's best for her, because now nothing can go wrong, right? And I can't see how it's best for me, but I can focus on the fact that I had the most amazing love story that anyone could dream of. And I've learned more about the depths of darkness that I already thought I knew a fair bit about, which just gives me the possibility of being a more compassionate person. And so the miraculous in this is who I can become through another experience. And so if that's what's going on, then great, right? Someone said to me, they said, Carol made you a better version of yourself, so your wife for life will have a better James MacNeil than Carol had met. And if she made me a better man, then amen. And I believe that. And so I expect the miracles. I expect this. And I pray daily for my happily ever after. I pray daily. And I don't pray like, hurry up and make me whatever, better at pickup lines or anything. I simply say, prepare her for me and me for her, and bring us together as soon as perfect. Because I want perfection. And so I just trust in divine love to guide my steps and to make me that man. And when I'm fully cooked, she will appear. And so I'm working on who I am, not how I appear. I'm not working on my marketing. I'm working on my personhood. I'm working on becoming the best husband this world can ever see. And the moment I'm ready, she will appear. And so I'm not passive and I'm not active. I'm focused on becoming the best version of myself and doing what is before me today, so that when she meets me, she says, dude's got it going on, because I'm working hard on being the best version of me, rather than just, hey, I don't know, maybe this is a good shirt, maybe it's not, but it's not where my head goes. It's who am I? How am I comes from who am I? And that's where my focus goes. And yes, for the record, I'm available.
James, you said the phrase as soon as perfect. And yeah. I absolutely love and resonate with that. And it brought a question to my mind, right? You are in a space whereby you manifest miracles literally every single moment of your life. Yeah. And there's like what you're saying is, I'm surrendering. I know it's going to happen. I'm just surrendering to the process of life and divine timing, because I know everything will happen at my highest good. Where is that balance for us, James? Like, where is the balance of knowing that I have to act on this and I've got to be like an active participant in allowing this miracle to happen, versus this is when I need to surrender this miracle to the divine timing and divine process.
I would say there's no separation. What my perception is this, that it seems to serve us best when we have a clear, compelling vision we believe in and feel free to pursue, and then pursue it in faith-filled actions. What's distinct about this is I'm not passive as in, I don't know, right? Not that kind of, I have no direction, no idea, nor am I coming from fear or frustration. My actions are faith-filled. Most people are not most people are not on their own teams because they've allowed fear or frustration to either impede or mess with their actions. So when they take actions, they're aggressive. They push too hard. They bully, they're whatever. They're just out of flow. Or the fear traps them and they don't take action. Like someday I'll. And what I'm saying is the balanced truth is I work really hard knowing the entire time my work is irrelevant for my miracles. But I work because I want to be a better version of myself. I work because it seems through all the wisdom literature that those who experience the most as far as magnificent miracles do stuff. They do stuff, like even if you look at some of those, stories that people have heard, like the Moses parting the Red Sea. Well, we know Moses didn't part it. What did he do? He had a stick. He held a stick up. Hold a stick over an ocean, see what happens. Nothing's going to happen. It wasn't the stick. It wasn't the holding it over the ocean. It was divine says, here's how I deal with humanity. You do something and I do everything. But don't forget you're something. And so I'm always doing my somethings. I'm holding sticks over oceans. I'm dialing the phone. I'm doing the thing, but without pressure to say, I'm supposed to produce miracles. If your desires require miracles, that's where the emphasis should be, on your connection to divine. And your body should be doing what makes sense. You've been given a brain, you've been given a body, feel free to use them. So take action, but maintain the faith that the miracles are what you're looking for, not just the practical. My life, from where I started to where I am, cannot be justified by any economist on earth. No one can say that guy made it there because of. No, this is miraculous. This has been miraculous. It's going to continue to be miraculous. And so, yes, I work hard, but my results are beyond any amount of work that anyone does with any level of intelligence. My results are miraculous, and I want to keep it that way. So I keep taking action, and I keep making sure they're faith-filled actions, and I believe the miracles are always coming as soon as perfect.
Oh, that's such a beautiful explanation, because I think a lot of times we do think that, okay, I just need to do one thing. And I call it like the picking of, like, the cherry picking of ideas. And so James tells me I need to affirm. So I'm going to take that. But Liz tells me I need to do this. So I'm going to take a little bit of that and a little bit. And we curate the salad in a way that we feel the most comfortable. Yeah. And so we don't do the hard stuff. We're afraid, because truthfully, our brains become a prison to our miracles, as you said, because, right, like when we are operating from a fear-based mentality and we're like, oh, James, like I'm not finding a person, I'm not finding this, I'm not getting this done, I'm turning 30, blah, 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 blah. Then that's all panic driven, right? Because your body believes that if it doesn't happen when the clock strikes midnight at 30, it's never going to happen. If it doesn't happen when I say it should happen, then it's never going to happen. And I think what you also mentioned in your story when you were talking about, like, let it happen when it is perfect for you, is you're saying that you don't want it when it's undercooked. You don't want the miracle to be undercooked or undernourished, or, like ripping out the potato before you can eat it. You want it when it's perfect for you.
Yeah. I mean, the day in Johannesburg, South Africa, that Les Brown stayed long enough to watch. In fact, he was battling health at the time, and his doctors and physician, the team around him, forced him to leave the venue, to go back to his hotel room and sleep. And he says, I will not go with you. They said, you have to, your health demands it. He says, I'm going to listen to James MacNeil speak today. You can't stop me. I'm going to listen to him. And the only way they could get him to go and nap was by promising him they were going to bring him back on time. You know what I mean? Like, it was a big deal for him and me. And that day, Les Brown heard me speak. Well, don't you think I'm grateful that I spent 20 years working on my craft so that when my guru dad heard me, he was proud? If I didn't put in the work, if I didn't like really work hard, then what would he have said that day? You don't want your opportunity before your preparation. The last thing you want is the world to look at you when you don't know what the heck you're doing. Find out what the heck you're doing as fast as possible. Master everything you possibly can. Don't say, I want my opportunity. Say, I want my prep. And then I'll be ready for my opportunity. I don't want to meet the perfect woman when I'm a perfect schmuck. I want to be the guy that she's going to say, snap. I want her to feel how I'm going to feel. I want her to be as freaked out as I am when we meet. I want to be that guy that she's like, I can't believe I'm with him, because I'm going to be saying, I can't believe I'm with her. And I want to be that guy that can make her proud. And so I focus on prep, 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 fast. The billions are coming. Prep, 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 fast. That perfect woman is coming. Prep, 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 fast. I'm going to get an opportunity for a big stage. Prep, 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 fast. I want to be ready. If you can't handle it, you can't have it. My focus is not on the getting. My focus is on the readying, because I expect the getting is waiting for me. And so I just work on becoming the best possible version of myself, knowing my best possible life is awaiting my readiness. You know, if my son was 5 years old and if he said, Dad, I want a Lamborghini. All right, and let's pretend I got the money in my pocket. Well, if I love him, I'm not going to give him a Lamborghini because he's just going to kill himself. I'm not going to give him a premature blessing as a curse. And I'm not going to curse him with something he's not ready for. And the divine is the same with you and I. My job is get ready and stay in faith that the moment it's perfect is the moment it's happening.
A miracle at the wrong time is a curse. I love that. I love it, because I don't think we see that often, right? I don't think when we look forward at our path and at our lives, I think we so like projecting. We want to get to a place, James. We're like, hey, my train for Marriageville should be leaving the station at 30. My train for this should be at this station, you know? So we preempt where we want to be. But I think the beauty is, I think it was Steve Jobs who said it, is the dots don't connect when you're looking forward. But when you look back, you realize how each dot and how each thing was actually interwoven for your greatest good. And I always simplify it for people, because every human being, I'm yet to meet one who doesn't agree, is whenever we speak about these concepts of miracles, right? Like, it's like, no, it's these big things. I'm like, simplify your life. Think of it as a love like relationship. And I'm like, all of us, I don't care who you are, has looked at the wrong person for you and thought they were the one. You were like, hell or high water, God, you'd get on your knees, whatever you believe in, and you'd be like, listen, I know better. I know this human being is going to fulfill me and make me happy and do all these ridiculous things that I want. And then you have time away from it. You've separated, you have time and distance and space. And you look back at that relationship and you're like, you know what? I'm so glad that did not work out.
Yeah. How many bullets have we dodged? You know, God's denials are just, they're not denials, they're delays. When rejections are protections. It's when these things don't go just perfectly, it's like, yeah, it is. I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm trusting one who sees all. And I one of the things I say to people is, you know, as you're moving through the spiritual manifestation with the secret, there's a lot of misinterpretation. A lot of people thought the law of attraction is about how to manipulate the universe to comply to my wishes. And I thought, oh, that would be wrong. That would be sad, because I've been wrong so many times on what I thought was best, that I don't want what I think. I want what divine knows. And so I say to people, the divine doesn't dig deadlines and demands. When you go to divine and you say, Thursday, I want $100,000 in unmarked bills, divine says, aren't you cute? And I know exactly what you need and what you really want, and I'm guaranteeing it. How's that? And so the plot twists of life are divine guidance. And if we get mad every time things don't go our way, that's not much fun, right? I mean, my son had to put up with going to the dentist. He didn't call me evil because he went to the dentist. He had to just trust, right? That mommy, daddy say this is right, this is good. So I want to have that spirit in my walk with divine love to say, cool, today I'm winning. Today it doesn't look like I'm winning. Today I'm rich or I'm broke or my foot's sore or whatever the deal is, and say, wow, that's what perfect looks like today. I didn't expect that. And to say, I'm not going to stand in judgment of what is. That's one of the biggest tricks of the ego, that I judge, they're right, they're wrong, they shouldn't. It's like Jesus taught a lot. Do not judge, do not judge. And I believe that message is larger than just don't judge people. Don't judge your circumstances. Who said you're supposed to be taller? Who said you're supposed to have hair? Who said it's supposed to be different than it is? If it is, then it's perfect, because we live in a divine perfection. So I personally say it is what it is, and that's perfect. Let's start there. And if everything isn't perfect and everything is improving, I'm in flow, rather than trying to force or manipulate or judge. It's like, yeah, it's what it is. Must be perfect.
I love that. That is beautiful. And I think it is also very liberating and freeing, right?
Yeah.
Instead of fighting against the flow of the universe, being in flow with it in order for your greatest good to be achieved, and your greatest outcome, really. James, as we get to the end of our beautiful conversation, and I'm so sad, I want to know, what are 3 tips or 3 things that you live your life by and you swear by that anyone else can do?
Number one, beyond any shadow of a doubt, the number one most important thing is my connection with divine love. Nothing is more important. I teach, and I'll be teaching this weekend. I teach within our work together that if we're not plugged in, we shouldn't expect the miraculous flow, right? If we're not plugged in, just like a kettle doesn't boil water until it's plugged in, we want to be plugged in for the miraculous. So I want a miraculous life, and I know I want to be plugged in. So that's number one, my connection to source. Number 2 is my loving connection to the world around me. I want to be, and one of the first things I learned in Spanish was estoy aquí para servir, which means I am here to serve. The purpose of my existence is service. Jesus said, I come not to be served, but to serve. I think that's good for me. So if I'm here to serve, if I'm here on a mission with a reason for this season, I'm here on purpose to make the world a better place. I'm not here just to make it, but to make it better. That excites me, that I'm here to make a positive and powerful difference. And my purpose is not my pressure. It's just my path to unlock my highest and best. And then 3rd, so number 1 is vertical love. 2nd is horizontal love. And 3rd, I'm continuing to get the hang of this, is self-love. I teach the world around me how to treat me by how I treat me. If I don't honor my body, if I don't honor my wealth, if I don't honor my life, I'm telling everyone around me, this is how to treat me. People will treat you how you treat you. Why should anyone treat you better than you treat you? You're announcing to the world, this is the standard. Follow it. People say, I give, I never receive. Well, you can blame them, or you can ask yourself why you're not taking care of yourself. You're not supposed to be a self-made martyr. We're supposed to flow from our abundance, not from our wellness. And if I don't take care of me, I shouldn't be shocked that other people don't respect my time or respect my finances or respect my... No, I treat myself with respect. And the world says, okay, you loved me first. You treat yourself with respect. I'll respectfully love you back. And it works. Love vertically, love horizontally, and love self to announce to the world how I want to be treated. Love others as I want to be loved myself, and show them what loving me looks like by how I treat me.
Wow. That is literally the only word that came to mind was wow. I would like to thank you for spending your time with us, James, on behalf of myself and the Real Success family and everyone listening. I mean, who you are is a gift, and what you bring into the world is just beyond measure. So I would love just to say thank you and give you just a tight virtual squeeze.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to you and to the entire Real Success Summit team. I'm honored to be a part. I'm honored to have this interview. You got more of you got me to open way more than I do. I don't share a lot. I share a lot. There's a lot I don't share. And you got some of that because you care. And so I really appreciate you sincerely. I'm so thrilled to get to know you more and more. And I'm honored to be a part of everything Real Success Summit does. So thank you, my dear friend.
Oh, thank you, James. Woo-wee. That was quite the conversation. I did not expect myself to get so emotional while really walking with James on his journey. What a story, what a person. And you know what I took away from this interview? No matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what you are going through, you have the power to thrive from this moment onwards. Thank you so much for being here with us. And if you have not joined the Real Success Club, be sure that you are checking it out in our show notes below. And I look forward to seeing you and spending time with you again next week.